Good evening, everybody. My name is Neza for KVTV, and I'm here in Woodbrook at the Rush Street Restaurant, where we're hanging out with the co-founders and directors of the Papabois Conservation Group. And hopefully this evening we're going to get an interview with both Marc and Stephen, where we can find out a little bit about what they're doing to help our environment here in Trinidad and Tobago.
Children getting rash, people have diarrhea, plenty people falling sick. They haven't done anything for us in the area.
And one of the vegetarian workers tell me, go and take the bird and hide it. I just laugh and walk off now.
It's a little disturbing that the birds are not flying away from us.
Today we are at the Carnival Swamp, a wetland of international importance under the Ramsar Convention. Join us today as we show you the beauty and the wonders of the Carnival Swamp.
Passing through, it's Christmas. We there, we have ham, sorrel, we drinking, we eating, we liking ourselves.
Right, for all those who don't know, I'm a Muslim. And no, I don't have that.
Good evening, Marc. I'm here with Marc de Verteuil from the Papabois Conservation, and we're just going to ask him a couple of questions. But first of all, I think our viewers would want to know, Marc, what is the Papabois Conservation? Give us a little background on you guys and what you guys are doing for Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, Papabois Conservation, it's basically me, Marc de Verteuil, and my partner, Stephen Broadbridge. We set up a Facebook page which has about 13,000 followers right now. Actually, I think just yesterday we crossed the 13,000 follower mark. The core of what we try to do is we try to bring about positive environmental change, and our method of doing so is by bringing environmental issues into the public domain. I'll give you an example. We started a couple of years ago, which was actually with a different group, a group called Trini Eco Warriors. I don't know if you're familiar with Trini Eco Warriors.
No, I'm not familiar,
Nope.
but you can go ahead.
Trini Eco Warriors, you can look it up on Facebook. Stephen and myself, we were co-founders of Trini Eco Warriors. That came about with turtle protection.
Okay.
Basically just by chance, more or less, that we realized in 2010 that turtles were legally hunted in Trinidad and Tobago. We thought that was a ridiculous situation. Turtles, endangered leatherback turtles at the time were critically endangered. They'd just been moved from the critically endangered status to endangered status about a month ago. But at the time, we went down into Goyari and found about 20 turtles lying on their backs, ready to be picked up for market. We actually thought there was something illegal going on, and did some research and realized that no, we have this hunting season in Trinidad during which turtles can be hunted. We made a video about that, very, very bloody, gory video, which was tremendously shocking, turned it into a mini documentary, like a 15-minute documentary. You can find it online. It's called The Legal Slaughter of Endangered Turtles in Trinidad and Tobago. That video went viral. From the moment we posted it up online, it basically shows a small greenback turtle being slaughtered alive. You see somebody with a dull knife cutting off its carapace, that's its shell. The turtle is not killed properly, like the throat is cut through, but it doesn't die. Turtle is alive for about 15 minutes going through this tremendous torture of being slaughtered alive. Now that video was such a shocking thing. It went viral, ended up being played on the news even. Like CNNG in the morning had it on their news show. All the big stations, CNC3, TV6, everybody showed it. Ministers saw it. And what had happened is something that previously was unknown to most people became public knowledge. There was outrage. This needs to stop. We cannot be a country that consumes endangered animals. And within about a year, we had turtles protected in Trinidad and Tobago. So I think that is really the core of what we do. We try to bring environmental issues which are happening all around us every single day, but they happen in darkness. And let's bring them out into the light where we can actually deal with these issues rather than stick our head in the sand and act as if they're not around.
Okay. So as we stand here, what you're actually saying is that you guys were one of the groups very instrumental in getting turtles on the protected list for Trinidad and Tobago, and we don't hunt them anymore.
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Unfortunately, some poaching still takes place.
Right.
I was at Matura Beach on the East Coast about 2 weeks ago, or maybe 3 weeks ago, and found the remains of a poached turtle. It was probably a loggerhead turtle, which if it was a loggerhead turtle, it would be an extremely rare occurrence for Trinidad. But I mean, it is proof that, yeah, poaching unfortunately does continue. The only way they're going to stop poaching is through enforcement. Enforcement is done by wildlife. Wildlife has about 12 officers to patrol all of Trinidad and Tobago. So, you know, unless we can get that enforcement level to be adequate, we're not going to stop all the problems. But I mean, that is with all crime the same.
So where do you think Papabois is heading next? In what direction? What is your plans for the conservation group in terms of not just Trinidad and Tobago, but maybe the rest of the world or the rest of the Caribbean, you know?
Well, right now we are basically volunteer-based. We operate from Facebook, and so much of the content that you see on Facebook we generated ourselves. We literally just jump in our car. We had the oil spill the other day. When the oil spill happened, I was actually in Grenada. I was following it from Grenada. When I was in Grenada, I thought it was a very small spill. I didn't realize the extent of it until when I came back to Trinidad. Jumped in the car. It was the first thing I did when I got back home. Jumped in the car, headed down to Labrie. And, you know, I was completely astounded by what I saw, because none of the media reports really seemed to suggest that the oil spill was that bad. As I was down there, first thing I see, within a couple of minutes, is a pedestrian worker walking past me with this laughing gull, right, a bird in his hands. And the bird is covered in oil, like 3/4 of it. This has thick, viscose oil dripping from it. I took a picture of that. That picture immediately went viral, ended up on I think, the Express newspaper's front page.
I think I've actually seen that picture myself too.
That picture, the importance of that was that up until that moment, basically Petrotrin and the Ministry of Energy were saying, okay, it's a small spill, all under control, there's no wildlife casualties. Yeah, they were basically telling the public that the oil spill was not an issue to be dealt with. And from the moment that that picture was out there, that proved otherwise. You know, that proved it was a very, very serious issue. We got some kind of response going. I'm not happy with the response that we had, but we did get a little more response. Now, that is really just dependent at that moment on my actions. You know, I was in Grenada, so nothing was happening. We need to get past that point, and the only way we're going to get past that point is by professionalizing Papabois conservation. To professionalize it, you know, I'm thinking of becoming something like a Greenpeace International, for instance. To get to that point, we need funding. You know, we need a business plan. We need qualified people to work together with us. So I think what we eventually need to do is we need to become a professional environmental / activist group.
Okay, so tell me, how can one layman like myself get involved with the Papabois conservation, or how can you tell the public to help you? How can we help you with all the good work that you're doing here to save endangered animals and protected species in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, we are now 3 years old as an organization. Actually, I'm lying. We're only like 1.5 years old. It's about 3 years that I am involved in the environment. Papabois conservation is only about 1.5 years old. You know, because it's so been centered on Stephen and myself, we never really had the capacity to absorb volunteers in our organization. That is something that we're changing now. We have a couple of environmental campaigns that we're setting up. We need volunteers for that. From time to time on our Facebook page, we're going to post up information, you know, basically telling people, okay, this is the campaign we're working on. We'd like you to come and volunteer. We need help. So Papabois Conservation on Facebook. You could also call me on my phone, 310-9099. Very easy. I answer the phone even when it's an unknown number. You could send an email to my email address, which is Marc, M-A-R-C, not with a K, M-A-R-C, at papaboisconservation.com. Sorry, .org. Marc at papaboisconservation.org. And yeah, you know, you can figure out how you can volunteer, what rules would be best suited for you, what times would be best. But we have a couple of very important environmental campaigns that are starting within the next couple of weeks. If you feel that, you know, you have something to offer for the environment, if it's your passion, if you're concerned about what's going on, drop us a line, send me a message on Facebook. You know, on the Facebook page, you can just click the little message box. We're a very casually run organization. So, you know, you don't need to send us a formal letter. Just say, hey, we want to get involved, and we'll reply.
Would you say that the Papabois Conservation or you yourself would be a good person to call if I was to witness something, or if someone was to witness something happening? Would you be a good person that somebody could
absolutely,
call?
and people do that all the time. You know, I'm trying to think of the last time that. All right, like the other day there was some oil down the islands, and actually Gary Aboud, he's a famous environmentalist, of course. You know, he called me to come down and help give it some more publicity, because you know they are a very well slicked activist organization, but their social media isn't that strong. Our social media is very strong. You know, they're more in tune with like the papers than we are, I think. You know, they get stuff printed all the time, but he wants to get stuff visually out there as well. So I went down with him, took some pictures. You know, we filmed stuff. He filmed some stuff. We put up on our page, and it gets out to our 13,000 members. A lot of members of the press are on the page. We have ministers on our page. You know, we can directly influence ministers through policy making. Somebody who we often like to give some constructive, well, I hope it's constructive criticism to sometimes, is our Minister of Energy, Kevin Ramnarine. You know, global warming is one of the biggest threats to human existence. So his role as Minister of Energy in Trinidad is absolutely essential. I know that he's on our page. He's actually, you know, he's gone so far to say, very interesting page you have there. I don't know if that was like glad for the criticism or not. But the fact is we do reach policymakers. And yeah, as I said, you know, like something like climate change, it's something that can actually put a halt to human existence, or at least put a halt to the civilization that we enjoy today. Very pressing matters. So, you know, we all need to get involved.
Okay. So Mark, tell us, is there anything that you'd like the public to know, any upcoming events that you guys may have that you want to invite the public to, or anything of the sort?
Yeah, we have a monthly event called Let's Talk Eco Action, which is on the 25th of February. It starts at 6 p.m. and runs until 9 p.m. at the Trinidad Theatre Workshop, which is on Norfolk Street in Belmont. We have an event invite on our Facebook page. Basically, I'm gonna be talking about shark conservation at this event. We have two other speakers, one of whom is going to be talking on the oil spill. And the third speaker is still a surprise. We're not too sure who's that going to be, but somebody's going to be talking on one of the interesting environmental issues. We don't want it to be a lecture. You know, these talks, they're limited in time, 15 minutes long. We think that's what people can absorb. While we keep it kind of snappy and interesting, we use multimedia at the same time. We have a projector up so we could show pictures. It's a fun way to learn about what environmentalists are doing in Trinidad and Tobago. We usually try to invite a Tobago organization to come across as well, because so often we're very fragmented between Trinidad and Tobago. We're one country, and the issues are too big to be dealt with individually. It's also fantastic networking. We have an hour after the event, which is just about having a drink, getting to know other people who are interested in the same things we're interested in, who are working in the same field. So often, people who are involved in the environment could think that they're the only ones who care. Yeah, because, let's face it, not everybody's first interest is the environment, is nature. If we talk about turtles or climate change, somebody else might say, man, it's carnival time, I want to go out party, which is fantastic. I'm playing mass myself. But at the same time, I have this interest, and I want to be able to meet other people who have that interest too. So, you know, that's where that networking becomes very important. It's actually something that we're at tonight as well, which is called Green Drinks, which is at Rust Bar. I don't know if we can call the name. Rust on Rust Street in Sinclair. It's every first Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. And it's a group of environmentalists who come together. It's open invitation to anybody who works in the field or is interested in the field or is active in any kind of way. But as far as Papabois conservation is concerned, Let's Talk Eco Action, 25th of February, Trinidad Theatre Workshop, Norfolk Street, Belmont, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Please come.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Marc, for that insight on the Papabois conservation and yourself. And as we've just come off of speaking with Marc de Verteuil, he mentioned to us about Stephen Broadbridge, his fellow director and partner in the Papabois Conservation Group. I'm standing here with Stephen. Good night, Stephen.
Good night.
So we've already heard from Marc about the Papabois conservation and what you guys are all about. Now I want to hear from you on different projects that you guys may have handled in the past and different projects that you're thinking about handling, that sort of thing.
Well, there are many projects that we have been involved in, but Papabois conservation, very often we see people already doing good projects, and we choose not to actually hijack what people are doing already. One of our main functions is helping people improve their PR. We've noticed groups like they're doing fine work, like Nature Seekers, for example, with the turtles. Absolutely great work, but really terrible PR. Their beach cleanups and things needed more publicizing, so we got involved, and there we've increased their numbers. And that is what we are really trying to do, is find people that have worthy projects that we're going to make a difference in, and we'll push the project, we will help them publicize it, we'll do the marketing, and we'll bring public awareness. And one of the very important functions of Papabois is bringing environmental issues to the forefront. If you look on the Papabois site and look in the press and compare the dates, you'll notice that Papabois usually publishes environmental issues, if not 2 days, at least 1 day before the press. The press read Papabois, and that's how they find out what is happening. Very often. So very often the press are getting fed stories from us that are worthy and important, and it shows that we're doing a great job at public awareness and bringing current issues to public eye, and getting the press interested too, because the press are not always interested in an important environmental issue. So Papabois steps in, people start talking about it, then the press jump in, and then many issues you would read about first in Papabois and then secondly in the press. Things like the Cobos being poisoned on the army base. Many will remember the caiman. You remember the caiman that you saw the army people holding up some dead caiman?
Yes, I do.
That picture was sent to Papabois, and I believe it had been sent to the press before, and the press had not acted on it. We had earlier. Well, I say we, but I'm also an honorary game warden. So as the honorary game warden program, we had actually spoken to 1 or 2 people in the military about doing an environmental awareness program within the military. And every time I spoke to a senior officer, I would not hear back. It would just die a natural death. So to me, when we had this opportunity, I call it an opportunity, to prove to the army that they really do need environmental education. We have all these people in military outfits with military guns holding up dead caiman out of hunting season, and probably without even if it was in hunting season, which I don't think it was, you would have to have a special permit, and you would not be able to hunt while on the base. It was totally illegal, and it shows a need for environmental education with the military. And we proved it, and we publicized it, and it got a lot of attention. It embarrassed the military, and it was intentional to embarrass the military. And maybe now they'll think twice about leaving. I don't blame the officers in the photograph. Of course, are guilty of killing these caiman, but I blame their superiors for not educating them. It's very easy to point the fingers at these guys, and unfortunately, they were made the scapegoat. They were court-martialed. I know that they were reprimanded severely by their seniors. But the seniors need a reprimand as well, because the seniors have had opportunity to give environmental education. They have done nothing. So Papabois can help by lobbying, by sometimes, unfortunately, like embarrassing. We don't want to embarrass anybody, but sometimes embarrassment is necessary because we need people to do the right thing, and sometimes they won't do the right thing unless they're embarrassed.
Now, as you brought up that point, right? You said that you help bring the awareness, and these people need to be educated. Do you have any ideas as to how that can happen? How the public can get educated? How the working force can get educated? How the superiors can get educated?
For starters, they don't need us. They could do it. Anybody can get on the internet and read. What we are doing is for the people that have decided that they don't have time or don't want or not inspired to go on the internet and read and learn, we'll bring education to them. We'll tell them about problems that we have observed, and we'll bring it to the forefront. We'll tell them why it's a problem and how we can make a change. It's very important not just to bring up problems all the time and be negative. We don't want to be negative. Papabois tries to put up positive images. Sometimes we put photographs on the pretty images and we talk about the wonders of nature and so on. But what we do on the site is a lot of education, and sometimes it has to be negative information to get education. But people have the opportunity to go and search for information themselves. If they don't want to do that, I guess they can come to Papabois, go on Papabois Facebook site and read every morning. You'll learn new things every day.
Well, thank you very much, Stephen, for that little insight. And I just want to remind the public again that you can get involved. You can check Papabois Conservation Facebook page. You can hit them up by email at
marc@papaboisconservation.org. Let me spell that, MARC @PAPABOISCONSERVATION.org. My telephone number is 310-9099. I'll give you the telephone number for Stephen Broadbridge as well. His telephone number is 620-1989. You can call either of us. But maybe the easiest way to get in touch with us is just go on our Facebook page, Papabois Conservation. On Facebook, we have 13,000 members. We'd love to have you as one more.
Thank you very much, Mark. And we do hope that everything is successful for you in the future and the Papabois Conservation. And we are here at KVTV. We are going to try to encourage the public to help you guys out.
Okay, great. I would love to work together with you guys.